Ladies and gentlemen of Morefolk, you all must be terribly confused. I've sent this message to your emails and your phones, which took quite a lot of time, so please listen to me. As you all well aware, there have been a series of murders in this town of ours. Murders that have, up to this point, had their details kept private. For the sake of investigation, as our police department puts it, the specifics of these crimes have been kept under wraps. Bullshit. All of it. It's all a load of bullshit. Our police aren't keeping this information secret for the security of the investigation. They're doing this out of cowardice. Isn't it strange that, even in a small town like this, where everyone is connected, nobody seems to know anything about the recent deaths? Ellie, Sasha, Claire, Jackie, all taken away from us. Yet nobody has anything to say? Do you seriously believe that the husbands of pregnant women that were slaughtered are keeping quiet because they're too traumatized? Or perhaps they keep quiet due to some kind of non-disclosure agreement they had with the police, right? Wrong. All wrong. The police have bribed and bullied the husbands of the victims into silence. It's come to my attention through my own investigation that this goes deeper than just the police force. They're being ordered around by an agency that remains unnamed even within the files I managed to crack. All this is to say, the situation is much more than it seems on the surface. After finding what I've dug up, it's obvious to me why they're trying to keep the husbands quiet. You know what? Fuck that. I never trusted these damn cops. I knew something suspicious was going on. You all have a right to know the truth. Below is a leak of a transcript containing some very interesting information. The police force is going to lie to you. They'll tell you that what I'm about to expose is purely fabricated. They're cowards, all of them. I dare you to look into their eyes as they lie to your face and tell yourself that you trust them. With that being said, allow me to grant you the real truth. Alright, the date is February 17th. It's 8:45 a.m. My name is Detective Casper. Everything from here on out is on the record. Mr. Middleton, I appreciate your willingness to speak about what happened last night. Typically, we wouldn't handle things this way. We'd have you cleared psychologically first, and this session wouldn't occur for a while longer. Unfortunately, this isn't a conventional situation. I hope you understand.
Yeah, I do.
That being said, your voice is shaky and your eyes are still red. Are you okay? Can you do this right now?
Do I look okay to you? I'll be okay when that crazy bitch gets executed. You hear me?
I hear you, and I promise you, the more help you give us, the closer we'll get to delivering justice. You're doing a brave thing here today. I hope you know that.
Oh, I'm not fucking brave. I couldn't do anything to stop that goddamn monster. I'm not brave. I'm angry. I just want that thing dead.
I know. I would too, trust me. You keep referring to the suspect in rather inhuman terms. Why is that? Was the suspect wearing a mask or some other form of concealing clothing that made them appear less human?
You aren't going to believe me. I just know that thing couldn't have been human. It couldn't have been. It looked human, but it just wasn't.
I apologize, I've gotten ahead of myself. Let's not focus on that right now. Let's start from the very beginning. Typically, criminals of this sort tend to stalk and survey the homes of their victims. They spend time figuring out the schedules and patterns of behaviors of their victims. Did you notice anything strange before this tragedy happened? Maybe a car suspiciously driving past your house repeatedly? Perhaps someone consistently looking at your property? Anything at all?
No, never. Everything seemed so normal. I swear, I didn't see anything like that.
I understand. Thank you. I would also like to mention, If at any time you require something to drink or eat during this interval, please tell me. We'll be happy to accommodate you.
I'm okay, thanks. If I put anything into my stomach, I'm afraid I'll just vomit again. My throat already hurts enough as is.
Understood. Once again, you're being very brave. Please stay strong. For your wife.
Please, call her Jackie.
Sure. Do it for Jackie, okay?
Yeah, for Jackie.
Alright. Thank you, Mr. Middleton. Now, going forward, I'm going to ask you to describe the events that happened last night. If at any point in time you feel uncomfortable, we can take a break. Do you understand?
I understand. I do.
Very well, let's proceed. According to your call with dispatch, the events unfolded at around 1:13 a.m. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Right. Now then, could you explain what exactly happened that night? I'll ask you to be concise, but I will refrain from interrupting you. I'm all ears, okay?
Alright. Well, Jack and I were in bed asleep. I remember waking up to the sound of thumping. I couldn't exactly place it, but I soon realized it was coming from underneath the bed. Jackie woke up right after that. I got out of bed and I looked at the floor. There was a fucking hand just sticking out from under the bed. It was a woman's hand. This whole time, the thumping from under the bed just continued and continued.
Was there anything on the hand? Any jewelry? Any identifying scarring or tattoo?
No, nothing like that. It was just a pale hand. Jackie couldn't see it at the time, but she was already really freaked out about the bumping. I shouted at the person under the bed. I told them to come out. I heard a lot of shifting around, and the bumping immediately stopped. The hand stretched forward and clawed at the floor like it was dragging the rest of the body forward with it. Oh Jesus.
Are you alright?
I can keep going. Please, I can do this.
Very well. Please continue.
Took a while for that thing to come all the way out. It looked like a nude woman, but it was so off. It couldn't have been human. There's just no way.
How do you mean? What made it appear so inhuman to you?
There was a long stitched up gash on her abdomen. Her eyes were so cloudy and gray, and it looked like tears were leaking out of them. She was nearly bald. Her head only had a few short hairs sticking out of it. Oh God, the smell. She smelled like utter shit. And the way she moved. She didn't stand up at first. She just laid on the floor and looked up at me. You have to believe me, that thing was not human. It was something else. I am not crazy. I swear on my life I'm telling the truth.
I believe you. I do. You're a great help to us right now. Here, take some tissues. It's okay. You're doing great. Take your time, alright?
Thank you. I appreciate it. Please continue to believe me. What I'm about to say doesn't sound real, but it is. I promise it is.
I'm here for you. It's okay. Every detail matters.
Okay. She opened her lips while staring at me. She didn't move her mouth or move her lips or tongue. She made this awful noise. It sounded like an infant crying. Just that sound coming out from her lips. It isn't natural. It isn't human. The crying sounded like if you took a recording of an infant crying and you looped it over and over again. It was the most horrific shit I ever heard.
She didn't even move her mouth? You said it sounded as if the crying were coming from a recording. Did you happen to notice any audio playing devices on her person?
No, she was completely naked. She couldn't have hidden one there. That sound, it was coming from her.
I understand. Please continue if possible. What happened after that?
I just froze. I couldn't move a muscle. It was like I was having a sleep paralysis episode. My body was stiff as a rock, and she stood up and faced Jackie. Jackie must have been so scared. She couldn't move either. She just laid in bed with a look of horror on her face. Oh God, I should have done something, but I couldn't. I felt completely numb.
It's understandable. Oftentimes we freeze up in horrifying moments. It isn't your fault.
I know, but this was different. This wasn't just me freezing up in fear. It was like nothing I've ever felt before. She was standing next to Jackie, and I think I'm gonna be sick. Please, can I just take a break, please?
Of course, we'll take a 15 minutes recess. You're doing a fantastic job. You deserve a break. 15 minutes pass. Alright, we are now back in session. Mr. Middleton, are you comfortable resuming where you left off?
Yeah, I am. I still feel sick, but I have to do this. I do. That monster stood next to Jackie, and he tore into her. He just dug its horrible fingers into her stomach and began ripping and clawing, and it was so awful. There was so much screaming and so much blood. Oh my God, Jackie, our poor baby. He was supposed to be our baby. He was supposed to be alive. He was supposed to be named Jack. He was supposed to be alive and be our baby. And the fucking monster just took him from us. He caught his way inside and ripped Jackie open and tore out our child.
Please, Mr. Middleton, I know you must be hurting. Please stay focused or you upset yourself further. What did the suspect do to the child?
She tore into her own abdomen. She tore her stitches apart and opened her own abdomen, her own womb. And she forced our baby inside of her. She fucking, oh dear God.
Mr. Middleton, our forensics crew didn't recover any DNA that might belong to the suspect as of yet. From the sound of it, she should have bled quite profusely inside of the room, based on your description. Wouldn't you think so?
I told you, she's not fucking human. She didn't even bleed. It was like just an empty cavity in her abdomen, and she stuffed our baby in there. My wife is dead. My unborn baby is dead. You think a human could have done something like this?
I think you're understandably upset by this event. I think that some details might be exaggerated or misunderstood in your head.
You don't believe me, do you?
Look, we're taking everything into account. We are truly trying to bring justice for you, Jackie, and Jack. We really are. We are going to consider your account going forward in our investigation. Your help is appreciated, Mr. Middleton.
Fine, believe me or don't. But mark my words, when you find the fucker that's responsible for this, you see that's only a vicious creature. Don't try to reason with it. Don't try to arrest it. Put a bullet in its fucking skull. You understand me?
Noted. Do you have anything more you'd like to add to the record?
Just kill it.
Alright, this marks the end of the recording at 9:27 a.m. Funny how the official record is being kept secret, huh? These bastards know what they're doing. Every single interview with the husbands has consistent themes. No signs of forced entry into the home, knocking under the bed, the man is unable to move, descriptions of the woman and the sounds she makes, what she does to the poor mother and child. It's all consistent. Something horrible is happening in this town. The police and whatever agencies contacting them are suppressing this information. I am going to blow this whole thing wide open. I am going to find out what's going on for the sake of our town. Know that this is not the final leak I will spread. Know that I'm urging each of you to embrace the truth. Know that I'm calling on each husband they try to threaten and bribe into silence to speak out. You all have a right to safety and transparency. This cannot continue for the sake of our friends and family. Morefolk is a place of dignity. There's no room for gruesome murder and government corruption here. This will not be the last you hear of me. Signing off for now, Jay. You know who this is. Sorry for the long wait and thank you for your patience. Yes, this is a new email address, though the reason for that should be obvious. I have to hand it to the pigs. They're not as clueless as I believed. What I once thought were monkeys dressed in uniform flinging shit at the wall are actually monkeys using rudimentary tools to fling shit at the wall. I'll admit it's cute. Still, if more folks finest thought that updating their firewalls, naming their files gibberish, and using monoalphabetic substitution ciphers for their file text was enough to throw me off, they were solely mistaken. For one, firewalls aren't as effective when I left a backdoor in the system for free access. Seriously, it's not that difficult to get into something once you've already been inside before. Not to mention, you seriously thought documenting stuff in some basic code would do the trick? That I wouldn't be able to convert it into plain text? At least do something a little sophisticated next time. Might I recommend studying some old telegrams from wartime and see how they did things? Seriously, your tech department should be paying you for tutelage. Your cryptography is weak. The only thing I can give you credit for is that I haven't found any information on the unnamed agency reference in your files. I assume their documents are cataloged in their own entirely separate database, which isn't surprising. Still, the only reason another agent would be involved with you at all would be to order you around behind the scenes like the bunch of lackeys you are. Regardless, that has no bearing on whether you can keep me out of your shit. I suspect you'll either throw out the system and start anew, or the more likely approach you take is to start cataloging your documents in analog style. Don't know, don't care. I've already got enough as is. To say that I've got a lot to drop on you all will be an understatement, and a severe one at that. Not everything is going to be shown right here now, but in time, all will be clear. I've been waiting patiently, meticulously crafting my strategy, waiting for the perfect moment to reappear. Such is the price of truth in a world run by breaking news and hastily woven narratives. There are always dozens, hundreds, even thousands of hands intricately drawing each needle through each thread until a net of lies and misrepresentations have been constructed and cast. Cast upon what? You all the helpless fish adrift at sea, going where the tide takes you. Yet, you're not helpless. There's a hand outstretched towards you, and it's my hand. I offer you access to the one thing more valuable than the money or security they try to bribe you with. I offer you access to reality. Reality is regardless of who witnessed it. Therefore, the optimal way to deny one access to reality is to remove their ability to witness, to see, to observe, and to ogle the beautiful essence of truth. Think for a moment about what it is that best achieves this goal of restricting your perception of reality. What is it that is such an obfuscation, such an obstruction, and such a danger? I'll tell you, it's the narratives. The news, the media, and the outlets all serve as distractions. Do not be so naive as to think that the news is on your side. They actively serve the interests of the authorities and their agendas. And once you become privy to the fact, it's obvious. Still, you might find my claims to be dubious. So let's take a look together, shall we? Allow me to show you precisely what I'm talking about. Alice Singleton, 33, found deceased in home. The body of Alice Singleton, 33, was found unresponsive in her home on Monday, January 23, 2023. Authorities arrived on the scene shortly after her husband, Barry Singleton, reported an accident that occurred that Monday night around 4:47 a.m. Although emergency services were quick to the scene, she was regrettably announced dead upon arrival at Morefolk Town Hospital at 5:09 a.m. Detective Clark Casper, who arrived at the scene shortly following the incident, declined to comment. So too did Barry Singleton. Although the nature of this incident remained highly unknown, its impact on our community is not lost to anyone. Plenty of tears were shed among friends, family, and loved ones, who all shared their sympathies with Mr. Singleton. Alice Singleton was expected to deliver her first child in the summer of this year. She very much had a love for children, and it wasn't uncommon for her to work as a substitute teacher at Morefolk Elementary. Many of the young students she taught and influenced took part in laying down flowers and paying their respects at the school, which hosted a memorial assembly in her honor. Ellie stood as a pillar of this community, doing what she could to ensure that future generations had a reliable shoulder to lean on. Now, a community stands as one, hearts torn apart for the Singleton family. This will surely be a day of much mourning and prayer. Innocent enough, right? Just a heartfelt news clipping in response to a horrific happening. A good old unifier of the people to get them through a trying time. Aside from that, there's not much to go off of. Granted, this was the first of what we now know to be murders. Let's continue. Tragedy strikes as 25-year-old Sasha Baker was found dead in her bedroom. Onlookers littered the streets as Sasha Baker, 25, was peacefully wheeled out of her home the other night on Saturday, January 29, 2023. Mothers, fathers, and children held hands in solemn silence as they watched, burdened with the great loss of their friend. It just doesn't make sense. She was young and healthy and happy. I can't even wrap my head around it, said Chuck Rivera, a longtime friend of Sasha Baker. This kind of thing doesn't happen in this town. It just doesn't, commented Ashley Sanchez, who was so disturbed by the death that she had to be comforted by those around her. Morefolk police released a brief statement following the occurrence, with Sheriff Tom Make being quoted as saying, "We want you to know that our hearts are heavy, and this loss is weighing down on us, all of us." Sasha was a great woman. From the food pantries she hosted inside the church to all the service work she did for our town, she always served as a positive influence to our youth. To us, she was family, a bright and optimistic woman we grew up alongside. Our thoughts and prayers go to David Baker, and to any and all who are undoubtedly hurting at this time. We will be conducting an investigation to this incident, absolutely. I cannot confirm anything to you with certainty, but we have reasons to believe that, well, this incident may have been the product of foul play. The chances of that being the case are low. Still, our officers are working diligently to ensure that this was not the cause of her death, because that, well, it would be heart-wrenching for all of us, even more than it already is. We'll do what we can to keep all of you updated. Thank you for your time, and God bless you. At this time, it is unspecified whether this event has any relation to the death of late Alice Singleton, who was found deceased in her home just a week prior. Would you look at that? Do you know what I see? Useless freaking platitudes. Thoughts and prayers don't mean shit to us. Not to mention how vague Sheriff Mackey was about the supposed investigation they were hosting. They peacefully wheeled the body out of the home? Perhaps it appeared that way with several white clothes and EMTs blocking the view of her corpse. I'm not entirely sure how the word peacefully could be applied to the remains of a woman who had her unborn child violently ripped out, nor am I sure how there could be any ambiguity to whether she was murdered or not. Now you go ahead and wonder why is it that they're using such passive and evasive language. Something tells me that you already know the answer. Homicide investigation launched following the murder of Claire Summers. Town officials have confirmed that Morefolk police are investigating the untimely death of Claire Summers, 28, which occurred on Wednesday, February 2, 2023, as a homicide. We are deeply disturbed by the passing of Claire Summers. The shock and sadness we're all going through cannot be understated. This is not an easy time for anybody, stated Sheriff Tom Mackey when asked for a comment about the recent development. Our investigators' assessment of her death indicated to us that, regrettably, this was a result of a sick individual rather than a horrible accident or medical issue, continued Mackey. This revelation also came with an announcement from town's officials that a curfew has been set in place. All citizens are to stay indoors after 9 p.m., and all exceptions must be preemptively requested. Failure to abide by this regulation will be met with detainment, and offending persons may face criminal charges. The investigation into Claire Summers' murder will incorporate the recently deceased citizens of Morefolk, Alice Singleton, Sasha Baker, as police suspect those incidents may be related to this one. As of this moment, Kyle Summers has declined to comment. Claire Summers, perhaps most well known for her bakery located on Oak Way, will be remembered as sweetly as the good she lovingly shared with us all. Not a single person would disagree that when in Claire's shop, smiles were formed and memories were made. 3 people had to die for them to announce that they were being murdered. 3 whole people. Suppose for a moment that you don't believe me or my leaks. That you don't believe that this was all the doing of a wretched ghoul with sadistic tendencies. Is it not still strange that it took this long for a homicide investigation to be publicly launched? Each death took place inside of the victim's home, while their husbands were sleeping in the same bed as them. Are we meant to believe that a killer did their dirty work and the husbands just didn't notice? Seriously? These freaking rats in blue think you're all idiots. They think that you won't connect the dots. Don't let them treat you like clueless animals. Do not allow them to be evasive about what's truly happening. Morefolk police patrolling the streets in response to most recent death. The killing of Jackie Middleton, 37, has unsettled Morefolk to its very core. Her death is another in a series of murders, now that the deaths of Claire Summers, Sasha Baker, and Alice Singleton have been found to be connected. Morefolk police have decided to patrol the streets at night in response to this recent development, and the town curfew has been lowered to 9 p.m. The safety of our town is our priority. We not only need to protect those of you living here, but find and prosecute whichever twisted individual is responsible for these crimes as soon as possible. We ask that you all cooperate with our curfew, and please, if you have any information that may be helpful to this case, contact us. Thank you, Sheriff Mackey explained when asked about his plan moving forward. When asked to comment on this tragedy, Jackie's husband, Craig Middleton, was quoted as saying, "There's not much for me to say at this time. The amount of hurt and devastation I'm going through can't be articulated. All I can say is that I hope that our police force brings whoever did this to my family to justice." Furthermore, Kyle Summers, David Baker, and Barry Singleton requested to make a joint comment. The 3 men had also recently lost their loving wives, likely at the hand of the suspected killer involved at Jackie Middleton's murder. We've gotten together to support each other as of late. Things have been unimaginably hard to get through each day, but the condolence and support of all of you wonderful people have made it more imaginable for us. We know we cannot change what happened, but we can and must address this problem before more lives are taken. Throughout these long, sleepless weeks, we've had the unequivocal support of the Morefolk Police Department. They have shown us great attention, care, and consideration. Most importantly, we know and trust that they will bring this murder to justice. Please support and believe in them, because they're doing all they can to fix this mess. Once again, we thank you all for the love and kindness you've given us. You all truly exemplify what it means to be wonderful neighbors, friends, and family. Jackie Middleton has always been an outgoing neighbor, working with Craig out of their small ice cream parlor on the nearby boardwalk. She'd often supply ice cream to nearby businesses for office parties and other celebratory events. Though store-bought ice cream would be the trick in a pinch, there was always something special about her delicious desserts that she made with the utmost love. To Morefolk, Jackie Middleton truly was the cherry on top. They aren't even trying to hide it, are they? Surely you all caught it as well. Suddenly, the husbands who have gone without comment for so long all come together to give a statement with the takeaway message of trusting the police department. Want to know an interesting little tidbit of information? The author of all those newspaper clippings is the same person. Guess who was it? Does the name Phil Pratt ring a bell? Morefolk's beloved journalist who happens to be married to Jamie Pratt? As is common knowledge, Jamie Pratt's maiden name is Jamie Mackey. These articles were written by the sheriff's son-in-law. I couldn't make this shit up. Still, I know what you're thinking. It doesn't matter who wrote those articles and what biases they have. That doesn't mean the contents of the text themselves aren't perfectly rational. Of course the husbands took a while to comment. They've been through so much trauma. Obviously they all came forward together because they got something in common to commiserate over. They're serving as each other's support systems, right? Sure, it all sounds plausible at first, but the more you think about it, the more what I am saying adds up. Remember, the husbands weren't allowed to stay at their homes because their houses had become a crime scene. Plenty of neighbors and family members offered them places to stay, but you know where they ended up? That's right. They ended up staying at the police station. Yeah, I know the reason given was that the police wanted to ensure the husbands were receiving attention to their mental health. But then why not have them stay at the hospital? Then there's the explanation that the police wanted them close by so they could aid the investigation. Still, is that something that would require them to eat, sleep, and drink at the station for almost all hours of the day? That doesn't add up, does it? I'll tell you the real reason that accounts for these abnormalities. The police were keeping the husbands there to monitor them, to ensure they weren't freely spreading their stories, to prevent them from commenting on the situation until they could fed a comment generated by the pigs themselves. You should also consider the fact that despite these husbands having been in close proximity to their wives at the time of the killings, they were never once considered suspect in the case. What could possibly account for that, other than the fact that the cops knew that someone else or something else was responsible from the very beginning? Some of you won't ever believe me, and I acknowledge that. That doesn't take away from the fact that this whole debacle has been handled so unconventionally. We've been told that the police would keep us updated on their investigations, but what have they really given us? We've received no identifiable suspect, no autopsy reports of the deceased victims, and the newspaper is more focused on selling this bullshit unify and support the police narrative than focusing on the particulars of the death themselves. Go ahead and tell me we're being kept in the dark for the sake of the investigative confidentiality. Tell me I'm seeking to divide us and push some communist anti-police agenda in the midst of community tragedy. Claim that I'm making mountains out of molehills. Here's all I have to say. Either you're with me, the people, and the truth, or you're going to be a mindless sheep licking the boots of those keeping the real facts at bay. The time is coming to make a damn choice. Don't worry, I've got so much more to share. I'm not done exposing the hidden truths I found in the police files I cracked. I'm simply waiting for the most opportune time to release more of what I have. Be patient, my friends. It'll be worth it. Trust me, after you see what's coming next, you'll be as angry as I am. This monster terrorizing our town isn't going to stop at pregnant women and their unborn children. After all, it already has claimed more than just those set of victims. You all might be aware that little Dennis Bowers went missing within the last week. Guess what? They're lying to you about what happened to him. All of it is connected, and I know just when and where to show you. The next time you hear from me, it'll be in a different medium. Something big's about to happen. I'm certain of it. Signing off, Jay.